Mr. Hoyer.
Thank you very much. Let me ask you a question as a follow-up to the chairman's question. Obviously, substantial expenses were incurred in 2017, January 6th in particular. Can you tell me the status of the payments that have been made to the District of Columbia to reimburse the added expenses that the security events since January 1, 17 have occurred? Have you been fully reimbursed?
We haven't been fully reimbursed for the inaugurals, and I'm looking now to make sure I know the difference. The original budget, for example, in 2017, we're outstanding $7.3 million for the inaugural expenses and about $2.2 million for other security expenses throughout that year.
Does that include the January 6th?
January 6th would be in 2021, and we are outstanding 6.2 for the inaugural expenses, and the other expenses, $21.2 million.
So somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million
Yes.
in that round figure have not been reimbursed by the federal government. Notwithstanding that, obviously those were federal events, essentially.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I may, in my statement, I noted the total for the past 4 years is $83 million that we expended that was not reimbursed
$83 million.
for the 4 years.
So that's part of the expense that you incur because we are the federal government, but for that probably would not have incurred those particular expenses. You'd obviously have public safety expenses, but not those particular increases.
Right, that's correct.
And they were not anticipated, of course.
They were not anticipated.
Let me ask you something. In 2016, you had a referendum on statehood. 86% of your residents voted for that. Citizens, I presume,
Yes.
voted for that. Can you explain that high percentage?
Well, yes, Mr. Hoyer, and in fact, since that was 2016, I became mayor in 2015, and we were very intent on changing the conversation around statehood, and part of our campaign included rewriting our Constitution, including talking to all of our residents in a constitutional convention and going back out to the voters. And what we explained was the only way to really secure DC autonomy, to make sure that we can speak for all of the residents without interference, is statehood. You've explained already that our population is greater than 2 states. We take care of ourselves. We have addressed constitutional concerns that have been raised regarding DC's admission as a state. And so the House has approved DC's admission 2 times. We've also achieved greater support from our surrounding jurisdictions, including your support, Mr. Hoyer, for statehood for the district.
Thank you very much. As a country, we, of course, support very strongly self-determination of peoples around the world.
Yes.
In my view, this is a particular example where our principles are not being pursued in a way that reflects that 86% of the people of this jurisdiction, the District of Columbia, or the state of Washington, Douglas,
Yes.
would be manifested.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think we really ought to do that. I want to observe, first of all, you're correct, I'm sure. For 15 years, we have talked about the District of Columbia on the floor about none of the funds can be used for this, that, or the other. But for 15 years, we have not given them the opportunity to appear before the Congress of the United States and state its case. So not only do we not honor home rule, but we don't honor our responsibility that we discuss hearing from the jurisdiction that is most affected by our decision with reference to the District of Columbia. I have 10 seconds remaining, so I will yield back the balance of my time.